With almost 24 candidates in the Democratic field and about a year of campaigning left until the primary starts, a lot can happen in the run-up to 2020. The broader question becomes, does anyone have what it takes to beat President Trump?
Joe Biden is the Democratic frontrunner in most polls, but RNC national spokeswoman Liz Harrington says the president doesn't need to fear the former vice president. Writing in a Fox News op-ed, Joe Biden is once again trying to assume the mantle of the working class warrior. A man who could not stop workers from getting screwed in 2 terms is not the man to rebuild a middle class. Tell us how you really feel, Liz. Liz Harrington joins us now to expand on her piece and to discuss how the 2020 race is looking from the RNC's perspective. Liz, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So, you know, I share with you this, I have a deep skepticism. If I were trying to advise my friend Crystal, if I would say, heaven forbid you were to leave this show and go run a presidential campaign for the Democrats, I would not recommend it to be Joe Biden. I think there are better options and better candidates for them from the who can win perspective.
Right. I mean, he's been around for 4 decades in the swamp. He's had his chance and he's failed. And when I use the term screwed, that's his words, not mine. That was 5 years into the Obama presidency. He was thinking about running in 2016 and launching a campaign. And then he said very frankly, the workers are getting screwed. And that was true then, but it's no longer true now because we now have strong Republican agenda in place. You see the economic numbers. The middle class is being rebuilt under President Trump. It never was under Joe Biden.
And yet, the president seems to have particularly fixated on Biden, giving the nickname Sleepy Joe. There was like this Twitter storm of like 60 retweets of people after the firefighters endorsed Biden that seemed to get under his skin. So does the president feel a threat from Joe Biden?
I don't think so. I think he just likes to set the record straight and say, hey, wait a minute, the union leadership might say they support Joe Biden, but I'm going to give a voice to the actual rank and file, the firefighters out there that support the president and his policies. So I don't think he's threatened by anything. I think he likes to set the record straight, and the facts remain. Wages they were plummeting when Joe Biden was in the White House with Barack Obama. The only unemployment that ever hit a record low under the Obama-Biden years was that of government workers. Now you see it across the board, lowest level in 50 years. The policies are working, and Joe Biden just can't, on every single record, you look at what he's done, it hasn't worked for the middle class.
Why do the polls then, at this point, show him as the most electable and the strongest threat to the president?
The polls
in those, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, those former blue wall states that Trump was very proud to take out. Why does Joe Biden poll best among the contenders in those places?
Well, I think the polls also showed that Hillary Clinton was going to win the entire race in 2016. I mean, you can't really trust the polls at this point. You trust the numbers. And what do the numbers say? Pennsylvania, where he had his launch, record lowest unemployment since the 1970s, before Joe Biden was even a politician, if you can believe it.
Now,
so that's what you look at.
When people think of Biden now, it's really as Obama's vice president. I mean, I think that's, even though he's been a senator for however many decades, forever. I mean, for longer than I think I've been alive.
In the swamp,
a very long time. What is he really best known for as a senator? Or what is he best known for outside of being Obama's number 2? Exactly.
Being wrong about everything over 4 decades, according to Bob Gates. That was Obama's Secretary of Defense. He was supposed to be this foreign policy guy. He got everything wrong. He wouldn't have gone after bin Laden. He was in charge of the withdrawal in Iraq, which directly led to the rise of ISIS, which President Trump and the Republicans had to come in and defeat in Syria. So he doesn't have the foreign policy record. He certainly doesn't have the domestic record either. I mean, in the piece you mentioned, the article I wrote, his solution to rebuilding manufacturing was high-speed rail, which never happened. So every policy he has, healthcare, we could talk about that as well. It's been a failure. It's been a record of failure.
Biden crime bill also didn't sit well.
He's also going to be racing.
You'll notice
to the
Crystal
left
is
with his-
not about to. She's not about to
But, okay.
storm the barricades in defense of Biden.
However,
However.
okay, we can't pretend like the president is invulnerable and the job numbers are great and he's just gonna, glide to re-election, because his approval rating has not been that great. It's been pretty much stuck in place where he's in the range where he certainly could win. I think that's a very real possibility. He's also in the range with the right opposition where he could lose. So of this list of many candidates, who is the one that would be most formidable? I mean, what are the qualities of a Democratic candidate that you think would put together a tough campaign for this president to take on?
At this point, certainly at the RNC, we're not very worried about any of them, because on the one hand, you have Joe Biden, and if he's going to get this nomination, he's going to have to join the leftward pool that's happening in the Democratic Party right now. Total embrace of radical ideas, throwing out the Electoral College, packing the Supreme Court. Bernie Sanders wants terrorists to vote from prison. I mean, really radical ideas, complete government takeover of healthcare. What's Joe Biden going to choose there? He's going to have to run to the left. And I think we have a very strong record now of results and what's happened in the past 2 years of giving Americans more freedom from government, getting the government off their back. All the Democrats are saying we want more government. We want to stop this economic growth.
But there is a big failure on the record for President Trump. I mean, I would say there are a number, but one in particular that was impactful in the 2018 midterms, which did not go well for your team, was healthcare. I mean, President Trump ran on, we're going to have health. He ran on essentially universal health care. I mean, he ran to the left of Hillary Clinton on health care. And then the deal that was put together would have stripped health care from a lot of people. It obviously fell in the Senate. John McCain, the famous thumbs down, the president still has never forgiven him for, but it failed. What is his message? What is he going to run on in terms of health care, which is a lot of people's number one issues?
Flexibility, giving consumers more choices, not less. And you look at what the Democrats are doing. They may have picked up seats in the House. They did not in the Senate, for one, where that bill failed. But they didn't run on socialized medicine to pick up those seats in the House. But that's what the leadership of the party, that's what the front runners in 2020 are pushing. And we're talking about kicking almost 200 million Americans off health care that they like right now. That's what this Medicare, so-called Medicare for All would do. So there's such a good contrast to see the president and this administration are trying to do as much as they can to tackle problems with health care. Executive orders on opening up the marketplace across state lines, flexibility with short-term durability plans. So there are things that limited they can do without control of the House, but look at the choice there. Do you want more choice? Do you want to be able to see the doctor that you like? They're not even pretending anymore. They're not even saying if you like your doctor, you can keep it. Bernie Sanders is saying if you like your doctor, well, you can just go to him for a nose job. That's it.
Nose job.
That's what he said.
All right, I'll have to look that one up.
Oh, okay. Liz, thank you so much.
Great to have you.
Next on Rising, testosterone levels and competition are reigniting a debate in the athletic world.
Transgender and intersex athletes are speaking out about discrimination and ensuring competition is free and fair for all. Our next guest advocates for LGBTQ athletes and talks about the latest ruling. That when Rising continues.